Hello and welcome to our program. The major center trade unions have announced All India General Strike on 2nd September against the anti-worker policy of incumbent Modi government. To discuss the issue, we have with us A.K.Padmanabhan, who is All India President of Center of Indian Trade Union. Hello, sir.
Yes.
The major center trade unions from different spectrums of the politics, be it right, be it left, are coming together to announce a general strike. So what's the reason behind this general strike which the trade unions have announced?
No, first of all, I would like to say at first, in India, this is not the first time all the central trade unions are coming together. Actually, the neoliberal policies in the country, which was being implemented from the year 1991, from that year itself, a sort of a united movement of the trade unions have been happening in this country. In that matter, but in November 1991, that was the first countrywide strike after the implementation of the neoliberal policies by the Narasimha Rao government. At that time, not all the trade unions were together on a common platform. And after 1991, the strike on 2nd September will be the 16th national level general strike. And so the previous governments, UPA 2, at that time from 2009 onwards this started, and in 2010, 2012, 2013 there were 3 countrywide strikes. And most importantly, for the first time in India, last strike, the 15th in the series or the 3rd after 2009, was for a 48-hour strike, 20th and 21st February 2013. After 1 year of this government, again we are in the street. Not that immediately we are in the street, we have been in the street. This is a sort of a continuation of what was going on from 2009 onwards. Because the total unity, 11 central trade unions are there. All the 11 are together. And not only that, there are independent national level federations of various employees organizations which are not affiliated to the central trade unions, and some of them are bigger than some of the central trade unions themselves. And so today, after this new government, after the last general election, we have reached a stage. Yes, now we have to fight back, and there are enough reasons for that.
So can you just tell about those reasons? What are the reasons why you are...
See, in 2009, for example, we had general policy issues. We took up 5 issues. And then by 2010, we formulated a 10-point charter of demands. And now we have a 12-point charter. This 10-point charter of demand, that's a basic issue. It is not confined to any section of workers. It's a issue connected with the government's policies and some basic issues of the workers, both in the unorganized sector, organized sector, and something which no other country other than India will understand. There are sections of 1 crore workers who are scheme workers, who are working for the government of India. And they are not treated as workers. They are treated as volunteers with honorarium, like that. 1 crore of workers in the integrated child development scheme, or the midday meal scheme in the schools, or the rural health mission workers who are known as Ashas and Ushas, all these things which I think when we raise these issues in the international platforms, people do not understand what actually it means. When they are working, they are workers. The first issue in the charter, 10-point charter, says control the increase in prices. And then we are demanding universal public distribution system. This is a very important demand of the whole people of the country. And I can tell you, even the government, the previous government, had to concede that the charter of demands presented by the workers. This was after our 2-day strike. And Dr. Manmohan Singh, who was the Prime Minister at that time, inaugurating the 45th Indian Labour Conference, had to concede that the charter of demands presented by the workers are unexceptionable demands. And those demands are not only of the workers, but of that of the larger sections of the people. these are the type of issues. One is on prices, the other is on creation of employment. Then there are issues of minimum wages. Here in the country, in India, we don't have a minimum wage calculation. There is no scientific basis. Not that we did not think about it. In 1957, in the 15th Indian Labour Conference, when our first Prime Minister was in power, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, in that conference, the 15th Indian Labour Conference, there was a decision, unanimous decision, how the minimum wages should be calculated on the basis of calorie requirements for a worker and his micro family. And more than that, after 1991, the biggest attack against the Indian working people and the trade unions are their right to form an organization. And so we are not able to have a union. The employers, the Indian corporates as well as the multinational companies which are coming into India, they don't want the worker to get organized. And unfortunately, the so-called largest democracy in the world, the governments here, whether it is at the center and various states also, they don't want the workers to be unionized. This fundamental right of the workers to get organized, for that we have to conduct struggle, we have to get victimized, we have to face police brutalities, our workers are put in jail, and this is one of the demands. Ensure that the trade unions are registered once they make an application within 45 days. And there are international conventions. ILO has a convention number 87. 87 says about the right to organize. Another convention which is actually part of that is Convention 98. It talks about collective bargaining. But India, that 5 core conventions which ILO declares as core conventions, these basic 2 conventions have not been ratified by the government of India. And this government has made us to add 2 things to that. This, because this 1 year experience. What is that? The 11th says, we have a demand, earlier demand, proper implementation of labor laws. Now the 11th demand is, stop diluting the existing labor laws. Yeah. The so-called reforms. And the 12th one is, FDI, 100% in railways, 76% insurance, 49% insurance, and areas. And so stop this unnecessary FDI in various sectors.
I would like to come on the 11th point that you have mentioned, that the current government has been diluting the labor laws which are existing in the country.
Yes.
So how are they diluting these laws?
I can give you 1 or 2 very important examples. See, the Trade Union Act of this country is dated 1926. From 1920 onwards, a central trade union has been formed. 1918 onwards, the official record says the first trade union, the first formal trade union. But even before that, in the earliest, 1903, 1904, there were workers' struggles. And the right to trade union started with that. And the Trade Union Act today says, after so many amendments and all that, for registration of a trade union, that union should have at least 10% of workers or 100, whichever is loyal. But for registration of a trade union, the number of applicants to register a trade union is restricted to 7. Here the new rule now, new law now says, the bill, it has not become a law, what it says is, this 10% or 100, whichever is loyal. And so in some factories like 2,000 workers are there, you should have 100 applicants to register a trade union. Now what is our experience? Once we submit an application for with 7 people, the moment we have experiences in Maruti, in Hyundai, in Volvo, multinational companies, and many Indian companies have been following that. The moment that application is reaching the registrar of trade unions, the labor department, that information reaches them, and suddenly you will find people getting transferred. This cannot happen in any other developed country or even a developing country. Now if you want to have 100 people, out of this even 1 goes down, the whole process is you have to restart.
It's back to square one.
Back to square one. And so this change, there is no reason other than to create a situation of union free. And then comes, if somehow you register a union, then see a trade union without the right to strike is a useless weapon. It's not that every day the worker goes on strike. He can't afford to do that. But at the same time, if you doesn't have that right, then the trade unions are disarmed. And now the rule says, not only in essential service, already it exists in the essential services here. Now, every trade union, once you decide to go on strike, a strike notice is served to the employer and to the government, labor department. From that moment, the conciliation proceedings on that starts. And when the conciliation proceedings start, you cannot go on strike. And so you can't go on strike. And if you violate that, then now comes all punishments. 50,000 rupees fine. You will be jailed. All these things were there in the British period. When the trade union laws were not actually enacted. And we are reaching a stage actually back to not only square one, it is a minus square. We are reaching just, and what for this government is doing this? We say we are a democratic government, we are a country, we respect Shrameva Jayate is our slogan, victory to labor. And our Prime Minister on the Independence Day spoke about dignity of labor. And what is this? Our constitutional rights, our dignity, our status as workers, our right to fight, these are all fundamental rights not given by anyone. The Indian trade unions has a history of struggles of more than 100, 120 years, and all these have been gained. This is one example. And I can talk to you regarding various other laws. And so this being the fundamental thing of forming a union, then industrial dispute, then factory act.
Apprenticeship Act.
Apprentices Act. And there is another one, the act that is saying, now the rule says, if there are less than 100 workers, closing the factory or retrenching people or dismissing people.
Yeah, you don't need to take permission.
Management can just do that. Now they are changing it to 300. And so in India, by all these amendments, at least 75 to 78% of the working people are taken away from all the labor legislations in the country. You could understand what actually is the reason for the workers' anger all over the country.
So, I mean, if you want to trace back the history of, the history of these reforms that the current government is bringing, where do you trace the history and how is it different from the previous UPA government?
No. Actually, they are following what the government wants to do from 1991. But unfortunately for the ruling class in this country, there was a sort of a coalition at the center all these years.
Left was one of...
No, whether left was or not there or not, from 1991 onwards, it was not a powerful single party government and there were always push and pull. From 1991 onwards, at that time the Labour Minister himself started giving a call. Many things, changes in labour laws, their agenda. But they could not implement it. But how could they, within 1 month of coming to power, they started this process because everything, all the groundwork was being done earlier. They could not take it out. They could not utilize that. Now, as this government came in, they declared all the charter of demands from the employers are ready there. And so within months, and even before the new government at the center came to power, already the state governments had started the process. In July 2014,
the Rajasthan
government passed amendments. Rajasthan government, then Andhra Pradesh government, then Maharashtra government, then Gujarat government, and lastly Madhya Pradesh government.
So it would be my last question. So what are the preparations that are going on for the 2nd September strike, and what's the way ahead?
This time when we are going to various states, we find more enthusiasm, spirited reaction from the workers. We had state level joint conventions of central trade unions and federations, and in many states district level conventions. regional level conventions. Then we had national conventions sector wise. All the unions in public sector, different affiliations, independent unions, we met on 25th July in Bangalore. Coal workers met on 10th July in Nagpur. Transport workers met, road transport workers met on 4th August in Delhi. Electricity workers, defense workers, all the three federations, there are three federations nationally. They are together working. Telecom, they are working. And so, except in railways, because railway trade union leaders, railway workers say we cannot organize a one-day strike. And for your information, already the central government employees, including railways and defense, they have given a strike notice from 23rd November, an indefinite strike from 23rd November on their issues. Their pay, their related issues, from 23rd November 2015, they want to go on an indefinite strike. But those government employees, central government employees also are joining this strike, except railways, all others. And so, all the workers who are organized in the organized sector, unorganized sector, public sector, private sector in manufacturing and the scheme workers, we are all prepared to go for strike. Actually, the situation today is, in my assessment, even tomorrow we can go on strike. That level we have reached. All the state conventions are over. Now it is a sort of a work spot level, individual worker, meeting them, talking to them, preparing them. My organization, or generally we all feel, it is not a question of organizing a strike for 20 or 4 hours alone. We are, and as CITU, my organization specifically, we have told our cadres, we have told our workers, this time should be utilized, this campaign should be utilized to educate the workers,